The process of learning is continuous and lifelong. Yet, many of us do not understand the process of learning. It is for that reason that we remain slow learners. Hello, my name is Namrata, and in this module, we will understand the process of learning, learning methods, and how to become learners, better learners. The purpose is to become better at learning anything we take up. Let us first understand what learning is. Learning is the continuous process of gaining new knowledge and skills. Let me discuss a few examples of learning with you. To ride a bicycle? Firstly, there was someone who taught us how to ride a bicycle. Secondly, all of us fell at least a few times while learning to ride. Thirdly, we all fell down, but we got up and did not give up. Fourth, it took quite some time of practice and dedication to learn how to ride a bicycle. Fifth, all of us succeeded in riding the bicycle. Sixth, our effort had too many ups and downs, but we enjoyed it a lot. See, so many things about learning to ride a bicycle, and we will see even more such things in this chapter. Having a teacher who handholds us, falling down and getting up, practice and dedication to learn, success, and the joy despite of the ups and downs are part and parcel of learning anything new. Let us test what we learned till now. Testing is also a part and parcel of learning anything new. Okay. What is true? Process of learning is A. Continuous and lifelong, or B. Momentary and stops at an age. Yes, the correct answer is process of learning is continuous and lifelong. What will happen if we understand the process of learning and learning methods? If we understand the process of learning and learning methods, we will become much better learners. What are the things common to all learning efforts? A. Teachers to handhold, so respect whoever teaches you. B. Failures, but never to give up. C. Practice and dedication. D. Success and joy. Friends, we saw so many things about learning in a small example of riding a bicycle. Let us now understand the process of learning systematically. So how do we really learn? That's the question we will address. Now, remember one thing. We all learned riding a bicycle without knowing the process of learning. So, is it necessary to understand the process of learning? Yes, it is not necessary. But if we know the process, we will become much better learners. So, make sure you are attentive. What do you want to be? A. Quick learners or B. Slow learners? Yes, we all want to be quick learners. All of us were taught riding a bicycle by someone. It could be our parents or siblings or uncles or friends. But No matter who taught, he or she was our trainer. So, the first element in the process of learning is training. Training helps us gain knowledge and skills. While learning to ride a bicycle, we were trained to understand so many things. For instance, how to start a ride, how to maintain balance, how to brake, how to put our foot on the ground when the cycle stops, how to pedal, and so on. Usually, one distinctive feature of training is that training is step by step. For instance, we do not learn to ride the bicycle fast on the very first day. If we try that, we will fall down. Put in other words, training is usually structured. Remember this very well if you are training yourself someday. Take a step-by-step approach and try to structure your own training. Let us recap now. Training helps us gain dash and dash. Yes, training helps us gain knowledge and skills. Which of these statements is true? A. Training is step by step and structured. B. Training is done in random steps. Yes, training is step by step and structured. Different types of training is required for different purposes. For instance, army training trains people for working in tough conditions, to keep presence of mind, to fight during wars, to not get disturbed by difficult situations, to maintain discipline, and so on. But training in journalism is very different. They are trained to get information, analyze it, write stories, present in front of the camera, conduct debates, and so on. But no matter what you are being trained for, if you like the work, you will enjoy the training even if there are ups and downs. Let us now turn our attention to another important element of the learning process, called as experience. There was a farmer in my village when I was very much younger. We all called him Shiv Kaka. Farmer did not mean he was poor. In fact, he was quite rich. All because he was an excellent farmer. His parents had died when he was young. He really started from zero and reached where he was today. But then he was totally illiterate. He could not even read and write. So how could he become a leading agriculturist? That, my friends, is because of experience. Training is fine, but what you learn from experience is extremely important. Shiv Kaka started working at an age of maybe 10 years. He used to wash utensils in a hotel. Then he started working in a field. He worked very hard. He used to start at 5 a.m. in the morning and work 15 hours a day. And that made him very skilled as well as physically tough. That's called as physical experience. In addition to this physical experience, he started understanding the nitty-gritty of agriculture, like how to stop pests, how to make sure all workers work and are happy, how to harvest carefully to avoid any waste, and so on. Because he was doing all this. In that time, he naturally developed the habit of thinking critically and thinking how can agriculture be improved. That really is mental experience. As he grew up, he got a land for doing agriculture on a contract basis. That means he would lose money if his output was not good. Now he understood what is the meaning of facing uncertainty of rains. In fact, in 3 consecutive years after that, our village was facing drought and there was no irrigation. Farmers of our village were always worried. But Shiv Kaka was worried more than them because he could lose money. But dealing with this pressure helped him grow as a professional. That's really a mental experience. Not just that, he was the eldest amongst his siblings and wanted them to continue to study. He could not watch them suffer. This experience of being in poverty and bearing all its difficulties in a young age made him emotionally very tough. Now, in the toughest of the situations, you will find him cheerful. At the same time, since he went through so much, he relates to people in poverty very well. That's called emotional experience. Now, since he would face such tough situations that many of us will get crushed under, he did a few things to handle it. The most important, he would say, was to visit a temple every day. He used to feel peaceful by going to the temple every morning, and that made him capable of handling tough situations. Whenever I used to go to Shiv Kaka to tell some difficulty, he used to always say, "Beta, have faith. Everything will be all right." I call this experience as spiritual experience. Remember, nobody ever succeeds without the help from the society. We get help in many ways. We also meet people who try and exploit us. Shiv Kaka met many of them over a long time. He developed a keen ability to make relationships with people. In the case of conflicts, he was able to manage mutually agreeable solutions without any fights. Over a period of time, people would go to him for advice as well as to resolve conflicts. He came to be known as the sweetest person in our village. That's really called as a social experience. Now let's do a recap. Tell me, why could Shiv Kaka become so successful even when he was illiterate? Shiv Kaka could become successful because he could build experience. What are the different types of experiences? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social experiences. But tell me one thing, Shiv Kaka did not have any formal training. He had experience, yes, but how could he do things without anyone teaching him to do so? Firstly, he would observe the behavior of others and make his own judgment of right and wrong. He would observe attitudes of people and slowly learn how to work together with them without conflicting. He would observe good qualities of successful people, such as getting up early in the morning. Similarly, he observed bad qualities too. For example, spitting on the walls. And that's how he learnt about good and bad personal qualities. This, my dear friends, is an important element in learning called as observation. Now, once he would observe good things, he would try and do it himself. For example, he met an elderly farm worker who was very good in working with bulls for plowing. He was so good that it felt he was talking to those animals like a friend. Shiv Kaka observed him and imitated his style. Over time, he had similar relationship with the animals, quite like the elderly person. That's called imitation, and it forms another important element in the learning process. Now let us do a short recap. What are the different elements in the process of learning? The different elements in the process of learning are training, experience, observation, and imitation. Now, tell me whether the following statement is true or false. Training is not a step-by-step method, and training teaches us things through random events. Of course, this statement is false. What are the different types of experiences? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social are the different types of experiences. Now we have understood the different elements in the learning process. Although we have learned these elements, there is no guarantee that we will be able to use them effectively. For example, we all go through experiences, but some of us learn far more than others. That's the key to learning. Our goal should be to make learning both successful and efficient. Before we move further, choose from the following options. Our goal should be to make learning A. easygoing, or B. without any hard work, or C. successful and efficient, or D. without any failures or setbacks. Yes, the correct answer is C. successful and efficient. But what are the factors that can help us making learning successful as well as efficient? The factors are attention, motivation, ambition, life's experiences, status and role, and insights. Let us look at them one after the other. If you are sitting in a mathematics class, you cannot be thinking about the football goals you wish to score. Isn't it? It is that simple. If you are not attentive, the learning is just a waste of time. Similarly, if you are not interested in something, you will probably not be attentive, and you will not do the hard work required to learn something. We are interested in something only when we are motivated. So, motivation is another important factor for effective learning. All of us have different levels of motivation for different things. One may have motivation for studies, for someone else it may be for play. But no matter what we are learning, without motivation there is no hope. This reminds me of the story of Arjun. He wanted to become the best archer the world had ever seen. His guru took him and his students to their garden one day and asked to shoot a bird's eye. Mind you, a bird's eye is very small. We might not even be able to clearly see the bird's eye from a distance, leave alone shooting it. The teacher asked all the students one by one, what did they see? They all said that they see various trees, leaves, different birds, fruits on the trees, and so on. Then came Arjun's turn. He said, the only thing he can see is the bird's eye. Of course, he became the world's greatest archer. That is what happens with ambition. Ambitions make us work hard to achieve something. Remember, we said initially that learning is a continuous process. So does that mean we keep on doing training all our life? Certainly not. Far more than training, learning happens through experiences. Experiences are of different types. Some are pleasant, others are not so pleasant. But potentially, every experience has something or the other to teach us. Let's take the case of what makes us drive our bike carefully. Going back to our example, we will be able to answer this question. All of us at some time or the other have probably seen or met with an accident. That experience taught us to be careful, to drive safely, to pay attention to the traffic rules, and so on. That's what life experiences do to learning. But remember, to make learning effective, we have to learn from experiences. If we don't learn anything from an event, it can hardly be called experience. I'll tell you another story. When I was young, I used to be very mischievous. I was one of the most difficult students in the class to control. I used to do all sorts of naughty things, like throwing paper balls at my friends, eating their tiffins, and even playing pranks on them. One day, my teacher noticed this, but she did not scold me. She simply made me the monitor of the class. Now see, keeping discipline in the class became my responsibility. So, I myself could not break the rules. I don't think the teacher's scolding would have helped me as much as this experiment did. That's what status and roles do to us. We behave differently when our status and roles are different. And this can drastically alter how we behave. Before I move forward, let me warn you, I do not make my rowdy people as the monitors of my class. I ask them to run 10 rounds of our school ground and also to do the homework of 5 other people. So please behave in my class. Okay. Anyway, moving forward, I'll tell you another story. There was a great scientist called Newton. He wrote the laws of physics. A lot of technical and scientific discoveries are based on these laws. Once he was sitting under a tree when an apple fell on his head. If such an event happens to us, most of us would probably curse the god or the tree or the apple or our own bad fortune that the apple landed on our head. Not Newton. Newton suddenly struck one idea. He asked, when the apple broke from the tree, why didn't it fly up? And why did it fall down? He then realized that everything that we throw up comes down. So there must be some phenomena. That was the insight that led to understanding the effect of gravity. That's the power of insight. Insight can be of two types, hindsight and foresight. Hindsight is the ability to learn from the past, and foresight is the ability to do something good with the future in the mind. For example, foresight is you taking this course to make your future better. Hindsight is studying much before the exams, since you have learned from the past experience that studying just at the last minute of exam is a very bad habit. Haven't you? Come on, don't lie now. So, let's do a recap. What are the factors that make learning effective? The factors that make learning effective are attention, motivation, ambition, life's experiences, status and role, and insight.